A common problem with selections is what's called color contamination. In this case, I have a woman against a green background, and if I come in here and I mask her onto a layer, we'll see that we've picked up color fringing from the background. This has actually contaminated the pixels. You'll often see this in a person's hair against a blue sky. Now, we can make some great selections and some great masks, but getting out that color fringing can be really difficult. We don't want to just desaturate the edge of the image, and we also don't want to contract it. A new feature in the entirely redesigned Refine Edge dialog in Photoshop CS5 is the ability to decontaminate colors. I simply click that checkbox, and Photoshop has looked all around the edge of the image, and it's removed the green fringing from that image. This is the sort of thing that will save a professional photographer or retoucher many, many hours of work. The new Puppet Warp feature in Photoshop CS5 allows photographers to have a much easier time directly manipulating components of an image. In this particular case, I have an image that could clearly benefit from some lens correction. We could remove some of this vignetting and stand these trees up. But you'll notice that the trees on the right are not at the same angle as the tree on the left. So even if I did that, this tree on the left would still lean in some. So let's take that tree, which I've already made a selection of, and bring that into Puppet Warp so that we can stand it up straight. Puppet Warp, simply drop 3 pins to tell the image where we'd like to move it. Then what we can do is just grab those pins and pull them over to quickly and easily straighten the tree. Just like so. We have complete direct control. Of course, we can change the depth of the pins. We can show the mesh that interacts with this manipulation. We can look at the expansion, the density, the modes. A tremendous amount of control, but it's very quick and easy to move precise pieces of the image just by dropping pins into it. The other thing that we can do is we could grab the person in the image and we can articulate that person just by zooming in here. We've made a loose selection, and we'll come back into Puppet Warp. And again, just drop pins where we want her to move. Give her a knee there, shoulder, elbow. I can just grab that and easily articulate the image just as I would expect to. So with Puppet Warp, I can quickly and easily grab different components of my image and manipulate them to make them look just as I wanted them to. Thanks to Photoshop CS5's entirely new paint engine and mixer brush tool, photographers can quickly and easily take photos to an entirely new place creatively. Here we have a photograph and several different iterations of that photograph turned into a painting, simply by dragging around the data with the new brush. This is integrated very closely with tablets to be pressure sensitive and respect not only lean angle, but in some cases even barrel rotation. Entirely new sets of brushes and presets allow for an incredible amount of control. Let's take a look at a couple more examples of what's possible with this. Here we have a normal photograph that's then been saturated, and then that saturated content has been brushed to turn the photograph into a painting. One more example of a photograph of a flower, and the mixer brush applied to turn that photograph into a painting. For Photoshop CS5, the Photoshop development team did something a little bit different. We reached out to a variety of different users in blogs, user research, developers, all sorts of different people who use our application, and we asked them what their stumbling blocks were, what some of the things they would like to see work differently were. We brought these all in, we put our pencils down, and we focused on a week of development time just to take care of some of the little things. We ended up doing over 3 dozen of those. And just a few that will complement photographers are things such as the ability to crop and straighten photos very quickly and easily. In this particular case, I have a crooked horizon line because the camera was set on self-timer. I drag a line with my ruler tool, and I now have the option to click this new straighten button. Photoshop will automatically rotate and crop to that horizon line. Let's look at a couple of other examples of what some of these JDI features are. Some that photographers will enjoy is the ability to monitor where their files are saved and opened to and from. There are changes to the adjustment panel to make it quicker and more powerful. Shadow highlight has new default values. And an important one that many photographers asked for was the ability to save 16-bit files as JPEGs. If you're a power user and you're coming in with a 16-bit file, it can be frustrating to have to downsample that image before being able to save it as a JPEG. If you're a new user, that can be extremely confusing because you don't understand why you can't simply save that file. So those are just a few examples of, again, over 36 features that were driven by our users that we've implemented in Photoshop CS5.